The stars were quiet that day. Captain Riker sat in the command chair of the TSV Horizon, sipping recycled coffee and staring at the dark void of space. It was supposed to be a routine patrol in Sector 7. Dead space. Nothing ever happened there. His crew was relaxed, playing cards or doing system checks without much care. Then, everything changed. A sharp beep echoed across the bridge. Ensign Tali, the youngest of the crew, looked confused as her screen flashed red. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal," she said. Riker raised an eyebrow. "From where?" Tali hesitated. "Coordinates place it near the Chiral Drift." "But that's impossible." "The signal code. It's from the White Star." Silence fell. The White Star was a legend now, a ghost ship. 12 years ago, it had vanished with over 50,000 people on board. A massive colony ship sent to explore a new sector. No wreckage had ever been found, just silence. Everyone assumed it had exploded or hit a black hole. But now, its signal was calling for help. Riker stood up slowly. "Are you sure it's not a fake?" "No, sir. Signal is clean. Military grade, Terran core. It's real." Riker gave the order. "Set course. I want eyes on that source." It took 5 hours to reach the coordinates. As they dropped out of FTL, they saw nothing at first, just blackness and drifting rocks. Then the lights caught something, debris. Large pieces of metal, torn open like paper. Part of a hull floated by. The Terran Republic emblem scorched into it. It was the White Star, or what was left of it. The bridge went quiet again. The crew stared at the broken pieces of a ship that was once larger than a city, but something didn't look right. The damage wasn't from an explosion. The metal was sliced clean, too clean. Like a blade had cut through it. That's when Lieutenant Grays stepped forward, pale. "This wasn't an accident," he said. "This ship was attacked." Riker ordered a scan. They picked up a faint life signal coming from a drifting escape pod nearby. It was almost out of power, just floating with the debris. They pulled it into the cargo bay. The pod opened with a hiss, and inside was a single person, an older man, skin pale and eyes wild with fear. Medics rushed to help, and the man barely breathed. He grabbed Riker's arm with shaking hands and whispered just 2 words before losing consciousness. "It's watching." The crew looked at each other, unsure what that meant. Watching. What was watching? They moved the man to medical, trying to stabilize him. Meanwhile, Riker and his officers reviewed the wreckage data. No normal weapon left marks like those. The cuts in the ship were made with precision and power beyond known tech. It wasn't pirates. It wasn't a reactor failure. This was something else. Suddenly, the lights on the ship flickered. Power systems began to fail one by one. Life support dropped to backup. The ship's AI reported an unknown interference affecting all systems. "We're being jammed," Tali said, "but there's no source on the radar." That's when they heard it. A soft thumping sound, faint but rhythmic, like something tapping on the outside of the hull. At first, Riker thought it was debris hitting the ship, but the sound repeated and moved. It traveled along the ship's side, like footsteps. Everyone froze. The sound stopped near the cargo bay. Riker ordered a security team to check it out. They suited up and moved in carefully, scanning every corner. But there was nothing there. The hull was intact. No breach. No life forms detected. But then, one of the engineers found something strange. On the outer hull, near the escape pod's docking port, were symbols burned into the metal. Sharp, alien markings they had never seen before. "Captain," the engineer said through the comms, "this wasn't made by anything we know. These symbols, they're not human, and they're fresh." The markings glowed faintly, like they had just been etched. Riker stood still, his eyes locked on the screen. He had a sinking feeling in his gut. This wasn't just about a lost ship. Something had destroyed the White Star, and now, that something had noticed them. The AI gave a final warning. Unidentified vessel detected. No communications, no power signature. Approaching at high speed. Riker looked out the front display. And there it was. A dark shape moving through the stars, silent and cold. No lights. No heat. Just a black shadow growing closer. "Shields up," he yelled. But before the system could respond, everything went dark. Total blackout. And in the darkness, the crew heard the tapping again. Closer now. Something had come for the White Star. Now, it had found them. The TSV Horizon floated in the dead silence of space, powerless. Every screen on the bridge had gone dark. Only emergency lights blinked faintly, painting the walls in red. The crew didn't speak. They barely breathed. Captain Riker stood frozen, staring into the pitch black beyond the main window. That dark shape, whatever it was no longer visible. It had vanished, but everyone still felt it. "Restart systems, anything, even manual," Riker ordered, keeping his voice calm. Lieutenant Grays worked quickly, his hands shaking. "Trying. There's some kind of external lock on our power core. Something is stopping the ship from rebooting. It's not from us." The eye was offline, the weapons were dead, and life support was running on its last backup cell. 1 hour left, maybe 2, before oxygen levels began to drop. In the silence, the sound returned. That tapping. Soft, but clear. Metal on metal. It came from the hull again. This time, it moved slowly from the left side of the ship toward the command deck, like footsteps outside a window. Ensign Tully's voice cracked. "That's impossible. We're in space. There's no gravity out there. Nothing should be walking." But the sound continued. Tap, tap, tap. Then it stopped. The lights flickered once, then came back dimly. A few screens blinked to life. Just enough to show the crew one thing. Something had accessed their external cameras. One camera, near the cargo bay, showed a dark smear across the lens. Not a crack, not a burn. Something had touched it, left a black handprint. "Play it back," Riker said. Grays rewound the feed. The camera had glitched for a second, and in that brief moment, something humanoid walked past. Tall, thin, wearing some kind of black armor, almost invisible against the ship's surface. No oxygen tank, no visible equipment, and its head turned, just slightly, toward the camera. Then it vanished. The survivor they rescued was still in medbay, unconscious, but now his vitals were spiking. Heart rate through the roof. His body convulsed as if he were reliving a nightmare. The medical team called Riker in. "He's in distress," the medic said. "We're losing him." Riker leaned closer, and the survivor grabbed his wrist again with surprising strength. His eyes opened wide, and he gasped out words. This time, a full sentence. "They don't make sound. They don't speak. They just watch. And when you run, they follow." The man fell back, unconscious again. Riker left the medbay deep in thought. These things, whatever they were, didn't just destroy the White Star. They hunted it. Slowly, silently. Not for resources, not for war, for sport. The White Star had run, and it had been hunted until nothing was left. The crew met in the war room, powered only by emergency systems. Riker laid it out clearly. "We're not dealing with pirates. This isn't a random attack. This is something else. Something that doesn't care about rules, doesn't want peace. It watches, then kills." The room was tense. No one argued. No one joked. Even Grays, usually the skeptic, said nothing. Then a new alert came. Faint signal detected. It was an old Terran emergency ping, but distorted. From a nearby asteroid belt, it matched a White Star escape pod signature. Another one. "We go get it," Riker said. "Maybe it has more answers." Tully hesitated. "Sir, what if it's bait?" Riker looked her in the eye. "It probably is, but we can't sit here and wait to die. The horizon moved slowly, using only minimal power to avoid being detected. The asteroid field came into view, dense and dark. The pain led them to a small, cracked pod stuck between two giant rocks. No movement inside. No signs of life. A team went out in suits, drifting silently between the floating stones. They reached the pod, pried it open. Inside was another body. This one had been dead for years, but clutched in his hand was a small black box, a data core. It still worked. They returned to the ship quickly. Riker took the data core to the bridge, where Grays carefully powered it up. The message inside was short. It was a log from a science officer aboard the White Star. "If you're hearing this, don't come for us. We found something buried on the edge of the dead zone. We thought it was just ruins. Ancient tech, but it wasn't dead. It watched us from the moment we touched it. We tried to leave. We thought we escaped. But it followed. It marked us." The recording glitched, then ended with one final sentence. "Human ships aren't the first to fall. They won't be the last." At that moment, radar blinked. Something was back. The black ship, just outside sensor range, but closer than before. Moving slow. Watching. Riker stood up, jaw tight. "They're not done with us," he said quietly. "They're hunting again." And this time, they were the prey. The black ship followed them. It never answered hails, never made a sound, never turned on lights. It just floated behind the horizon, matching speed. No weapons fired, no threats made, just silence. Captain Riker didn't like it. He had seen war before, fought pirates, rebels, even alien raiders. But this was different. This felt like a test, or a game. The crew moved quietly, eyes always on the screens. They didn't talk much anymore. Fear had taken over. The black ship had been following for 5 hours now, always staying out of range, always watching. "We need to jump," Riker said. "Now. I don't care where, just far." Grays looked worried. "Sir, we don't have a clear jump point. Only option is the Charon dead zone. It's uncharted, unstable, could tear us apart." "Better than waiting here to be hunted," Riker replied. "Do it." The engines powered up slowly. The AI flickered online just long enough to warn them. "Caution, high-risk jump. Unknown gravimetric fields detected." Riker didn't care. Jump. The horizon vanished into FTL, ripping through space. The stars stretched, twisted, then exploded into black. Seconds later, they dropped out, straight into a graveyard. Wreckage floated everywhere. Hundreds of ships, some Terran, some alien, some unknown, all destroyed in the same way. Clean cuts, ripped open like paper. Not even escape pods remained, just silence and metal. Gray spoke softly. What is this place?" Tally's hand shook as she scanned the area. "Some of these ships are ancient, pre-FTL. Others are new. A few are from species we haven't even met." "It's a trap," Riker said. "This is where they bring the ones they hunt." The black ship had followed. It dropped out of FTL behind them, completely unharmed by the unstable jump. It just hovered there, silent as always. Then the lights on the horizon began to flicker again. But this time, they didn't go dark. Something changed. A new signal came through. Not from the black ship, but from deep in the wreckage, an alien beacon, old but still active. Grays isolated the signal and played the message. It was a voice, raspy and tired, speaking in a language the translator barely understood. "If you are hearing this, then you are..." The black ship was no longer silent. It moved like a shadow with purpose, straight toward the horizon. Its engines made no sound, but its presence felt heavy, like the air itself had turned cold. Captain Riker stood on the bridge, watching it grow larger on the screen. His heart pounded in his chest, but his voice stayed firm. "Evasive maneuvers. Now." The horizon turned hard, engines burning at full. The crew strapped in as the ship weaved through the graveyard of wrecked vessels. Old hulls and broken ships floated like tombstones. One wrong move, and they'd crash. But the black ship followed, silent and smooth, gliding around the wreckage like it had done this 100 times before. "Still gaining," Tali said, panic in her voice. "Launch countermeasures," Riker ordered. Grays fired flares and decoys. The horizon dropped drones and energy bursts to confuse the pursuer. For a moment, it seemed to work. The black ship slowed, turning slightly toward the drones. But then it moved again. Faster this time. Smarter. "It's learning," Grays whispered. "It's adapting." The lights on the horizon flickered again. Systems began to fail. Not all at once, just one by one. Shields dropped, then weapons, then half the sensors went blind. "We're losing power in layers," Tali said, "like it's peeling us apart." Then the survivor, the man they had rescued from the escape pod, woke up in medbay, screaming. His voice echoed through the ship's speakers. "They've marked you. It's too late. You brought it here." Riker rushed down to medbay. The man's eyes were wide, filled with terror. "They hunt the signal," he gasped. "It's inside me. Inside the shard. I tried to throw it away, but it doesn't matter. Once you've seen it, they never stop watching." Riker leaned in. "What is the shard? Where is it?" The man didn't answer. He just stared at the ceiling and whispered, "It calls to them, and now it's calling others." Suddenly, new contacts appeared on the radar. 3 more black ships. They dropped out of FTL around the graveyard like wolves surrounding prey. All silent, all moving in slowly. "We're surrounded," Tali said. "Then we break through," Riker growled. "We find a way out." But there was nowhere to go. The jump drive needed time to recharge, and the ships were closing in fast. Then Grays had an idea. "There's an old Terran frigate in the wreckage. Still has a functioning jump drive. If we can link it to our systems, we might be able to use it to escape." "It's a long shot," Riker said. "Better than no shot," Grays replied. Riker agreed. "Take a team. Get that drive." Grays suited up with Davis and 2 others. They left the horizon in a shuttle and flew through the wreckage to the broken frigate. The black ships didn't follow. They just watched. Grays boarded the dead ship. Inside, everything was frozen and dark. The crew had long been dead, skeletons still strapped in. But the core was intact, glowing faintly. "We found it," Grays said over comms. "Beginning transfer now." Back on the horizon, Riker checked the radar again. Something was wrong. One of the black ships had stopped. It opened. Something. A strange signal flooded the ship. Not sound, but a feeling. Cold. Heavy, like someone whispering directly into the mind. Tali collapsed at her station, clutching her head. "They're in my head. They're inside my head." All across the ship, crew members started to feel it. Visions, flashes of red light, black corridors, a giant door opening in the dark, and something behind it. Something old, something alive. Riker fought the pressure in his skull and yelled, "Block the signal. Cut all external links." The crew disabled comms and sensors. The pain eased, but the memory of what they saw remained. Then Grays came back. They linked the old frigate's jump drive to the horizon just in time. Engines powered up. Coordinates locked. "Do we even know where we're going?" Tali asked. "No," Riker said. "Just away." He gave the order. "Jump." The horizon vanished into FTL, just as the black ships started moving again. The graveyard was behind them. But the fear remained. Hours later, the crew gathered in the war room. Riker placed the shard, small, black and warm, on the table. It pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. "We can't keep this on board," Gray said. Riker stared at it. "We can't destroy it either." The White Star tried. So did others. It always survives. Tali asked the question on everyone's mind. Then what do we do? Riker looked up. We find out where it came from. What it really is. Because if we don't, this won't end with us. In the shadows of space, far away, the black ships turned again. The hunt wasn't over. It had only just begun. The horizon dropped out of FTL into unknown space. No star nearby. No planets. Just darkness and a faint glow from a nearby nebula. The crew was silent. They had escaped, for now. But they all knew the truth. It wasn't over. Those black ships weren't ordinary enemies. They were part of something bigger, something older, and far more dangerous. Captain Riker stood in the war room, staring at the shard on the table. It still pulsed softly, like it was alive. No one had touched it since the escape. They all felt the same thing when they looked at it, like it was watching them back. We need answers, Riker said. We need to know what this thing is, and why it's being hunted. Grays nodded. There's a deep space research station nearby, off-grid, run by a group of Terran scientists. It was shut down years ago, but the records say they were studying pre-galactic artifacts, some connected to dark matter, and others to unknown civilizations. Riker gave the order. Set course. That's our next stop. It took them 2 hours to reach the station. It was hidden inside a hollow moon, surrounded by asteroids. The docking systems were offline, but the structure looked intact. No damage. No sign of battle. The crew docked manually. Riker, Grays, Tali, and a security team boarded the station. Inside, the lights were low, but still working. Dust floated in the air. Desks covered in old research files. Screens still glowing with paused data. This place looks like they left in a hurry, Tali said, scanning the area. Grays powered up the main terminal. It took a few minutes to unlock the system. Then rows of encrypted files appeared. The title on the main folder made everyone stop. Project Ichicho Gods. Grays read the summary. They found signals in deep space, older than any known civilization, buried under planets, inside black holes, even hidden in dark matter clouds. They thought it was just static. But then, they found a pattern, a voice, speaking in math. The deeper they read, the worse it got. The shard, whatever it was, matched a signal found inside one of these ruins, a ruin shaped like a gate. They called it the Black Door, Grays said softly. They believed it wasn't made by a race, but by something older, something that came before races, before time. Riker leaned over. And the hunters. They're not protecting the door, Grays said. They're containing it, making sure no one ever opens it again. Suddenly, an alarm beeped. Tali checked her wrist scanner. Motion in the lower decks. Something's moving down here. The team moved carefully through the hallways. Weapons ready, flashlights cutting through the dust. They followed the signal to a sealed lab door. The scanner showed one life form inside. Human. They forced the door open. Inside was a man, weak and pale, strapped to a medical bed. Tubes and sensors covered his body. He turned his head slowly as they entered. "You brought it here," he whispered. Riker stepped forward. "Who are you?" "I was the lead scientist. My name was Dr. Hale. We found the shard. We thought it was a power source. We were wrong." "What is it?" Riker asked. "It's a key," Hale said. "Not a weapon. Not a tool. A key to something locked away. Long ago." Tali asked. "And the black ships? They are the jailers. Machines or beings. I don't know. They exist to stop the door from opening. And when someone gets too close, they erase them." Grays stepped back, shaking his head. "Why didn't you destroy it?" "We tried," Hale said. "It reformed, changed shape, called out. It sends a signal across space, a beacon, and others hear it. Not just the hunters, but worse things. things that were behind the door. Riker looked at the shard again. It now pulsed faster, glowing faint red. "We have to shut it down," he said. "You can't," Hale said. "But you can bury it again. Deep. Somewhere far beyond the reach of light." Suddenly, alarms on the horizon went off. Tali checked her comms. "Captain, the black ships. 3 of them. They found us again." Riker made a choice. "We're leaving the shard here. This station is buried inside a moon. Maybe it can buy us time." They placed the shard inside the central core, sealed it behind blast doors, and ran. The team reached the horizon as the black ships arrived. One of them turned toward the moon, but didn't attack. Instead, it just stopped, watching. They don't want the shard, Riker realized. They just want it hidden. He gave the order to jump again. As the horizon disappeared into FTL, Riker looked back one last time. The moon drifted quietly in space. The black ship stayed behind. But something was wrong. Inside the station, the shard pulsed faster and brighter. The glow reached the sealed core and touched the old systems. And somewhere in deep space, something ancient began to wake. The shard had called out again. And this time, something had answered. The horizon traveled through FTL space, but something felt different. The crew wasn't celebrating their escape. They were quiet, focused. Captain Riker stared out the window, knowing in his gut they hadn't escaped anything. They had only delayed it. Tali sat at her console, eyes on the scanner. "Sir, the shard is still sending a signal, even though we left it behind." "That's not possible," Gray said. "We sealed it in that station." Tali looked pale. "I know, but I ran a trace. The signal is still connected to us, through him." She pointed to the medbay, where the survivor lay unconscious again. Riker walked to the medbay and stood over the man. His skin was pale. His heartbeat was slow, but the machines monitoring him were picking up something else. Bursts of energy, strange patterns in his brain. The shard hadn't just been near him. It had changed him. "He's a carrier now," Gray said from behind. "The signal's inside him." Riker sighed. "Then we didn't leave it behind after all." Suddenly, alarms rang through the ship. Red lights flashed. Everyone ran to their stations. Tali shouted over the noise. "Unidentified object appearing in front of us. It's not a ship. It's a gate." A massive black ring appeared in their path. It wasn't made of metal. It looked like stone, or something older. Cracks glowed red around its edges. The space inside the ring rippled like water. The horizon slowed automatically, unable to go around it. "What is that?" Tali whispered. Gray scanned it. "It's not natural, and it's not on any map. This might be the Black Door." The crew stared at the massive structure. It pulsed like it was alive, like it was breathing. And the shard's signal, still inside the survivor, was pulling them toward it. Riker gave the order. "Back us away. I don't care what it is, we're not going near it." But it was too late. The horizon's engines failed. Power dropped to 40%, then 20%, then 10%. A strange force was pulling them forward, not with gravity, but with something else. Something older. Something that didn't follow the laws of physics. "We're being dragged in," Tali yelled. "Emergency shutdown," Riker ordered. The ship shut down completely. No lights. No engines. Nothing. Only the red glow of the gate filled the bridge. And then they passed through. It felt like falling, like dying and waking up at the same time. The crew saw things, visions that didn't make sense. Giant machines, endless black deserts, cities floating in the void, screaming without sound, light that bled, stars that blinked and never came back. Then it was over. The horizon drifted into a dead zone. No stars, no galaxies, just black space and one massive object floating ahead. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a station. It was something in between, like a machine built into an asteroid the size of a moon. Tali's voice trembled. There's something alive inside that. Grays finished a scan. Whatever this is, it's older than Earth, older than the Terran Republic, maybe older than time itself. Suddenly, the survivor sat up in the medbay. His eyes glowed red. He spoke in a voice that wasn't his. The gate is open. The jailers are late. The sleeper stirs. Alarms blared again. On the edge of the dead zone, the black ships arrived. 10 of them. Then 20. Then more. They surrounded the area, forming a wall between the gate and the sleeper. But they didn't attack. They waited. Then, the giant machine in front of the horizon began to open. Massive stone-like plates moved slowly, revealing a hollow core inside. And in the center floated something. Wrong. It looked like a being, but it shifted too quickly to describe. Eyes that moved, hands that twisted, a shape that hurt to look at. Tali clutched her head. We weren't meant to see this. Grays gasped. It's not a god. It's not a machine. It's something between, a creature that was sealed away before history began. Riker stood frozen. The shard, the gate, the survivor, everything led to this. The White Star hadn't just found a weapon. They had found a prison. And now, they had opened it. The survivor walked onto the bridge, calm now, still glowing. It saw you, he said softly. And now, it remembers. Suddenly, the black ships moved, but not toward the horizon, toward the creature, firing weapons made of light, gravity, and sound. One by one, the black ships were torn apart. But they didn't stop. They're not trying to win, Riker said. They're trying to hold it back. Give us time. Tali looked at him. Time for what? Riker stared out at the thing that should never have been woken. Time to run. Time to warn the galaxy. Because this wasn't just a threat to them. This was the beginning of something far worse. Something that would change the galaxy forever. The horizon turned away from the ancient monster now waking before them. The bridge shook with every wave of energy coming from the thing. It had no name, no face, just shifting shapes and red light. But now, the galaxy would feel it. Riker stood firm. Charge the jump drive. Get us out of here. Tali's fingers flew over the console. Trying, but something's jamming the coordinates. It's like space isn't working right anymore. Grays looked pale. That thing is warping reality. It's not just waking up. It's rewriting space around it. Behind them, the black ships fought like guardians from a forgotten age. Their weapons tore into the creature's edges. Some of the black ships exploded, but they didn't stop. They bought seconds. Seconds the horizon needed. The survivor, his eyes still glowing, collapsed. His voice echoed in the ship's speakers. It remembers Earth. The gate opened once before. And now, it will return. Tali turned to Riker. He's talking about the White Star. It didn't crash by accident. It brought this thing's signal back with it. Riker clenched his fists. That means Earth is next. Suddenly, the lights flickered. A voice, deep and slow, filled the ship, not from speakers, from inside their minds. You opened the door. Now, you must witness. And then, the ship wasn't in the dead zone anymore. They were above Earth. Tali screamed. Sir, this is impossible. We just skipped thousands of light years in seconds. Outside the window, Earth was calm, beautiful, peaceful. But in orbit, the sky was full of Terran warships, dozens of them, Earth's best. And then the black hole appeared. It wasn't natural. It tore open like a wound in space, right above Earth's orbit. And through it, the creature came. Not all of it, just a shadow, a piece, but even that was too much. Terran ships opened fire. Missiles, railguns, plasma cannons, all at once. The creature didn't even react. It didn't need to. It just looked. and 3 ships turned to ash. Riker shouted, "Send a warning to Earth HQ. Full broadcast. Priority Alpha." Tali tried. "All channels blocked. It's taking over everything. Satellite links, planetary defense grids, even the neural net." The crew of the Horizon watched in horror as their homeworld faced the thing from beyond. And then, out of nowhere, the black ships arrived. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Thousands. They came in like a storm, forming a wall between Earth and the creature. One of the Terran admirals spoke on the open channel, voice calm but shaken. "This is Admiral Reyes of the Terran Republic. We don't know who these black ships are, but they're not attacking us. They're protecting us." Riker opened a secure line. "Admiral, this is Captain Riker of the Horizon. That thing is ancient. It was locked away for a reason, and we broke the lock." Admiral Rice didn't waste time. "Then we fight. Together." The humans and the black ships fought side by side. Weapons of old and new. Terran nukes and alien gravity beams. Light cannons and data slicers. Everything thrown at the shadow in the sky. And for a moment, it worked. The creature pulled back. But it wasn't retreating. It was laughing. A sound like bending metal and shattering time echoed through everyone's minds. Some collapsed. Others screamed. But Riker stood tall. "We won't go down like the others. Not Earth." Tali spoke through tears. "We can't stop it. Not forever." Grays looked at her. "Then maybe we don't stop it. We seal it again." Riker's eyes widened. "The gate. The one we came through. If we can power it, maybe we can drag it back and shut it." "But how?" Tali asked. "We're not strong enough." They all looked at the black ships. Some were damaged, others still fighting. "They are," Riker said. "And if we help them, maybe it'll be enough." He sent a signal in the same pattern the Shard once used. A message. "We will help seal the gate. Together." For a second, just one, the black ships paused. Then they moved. Fast. They circled the creature, forming a net of energy. The gate reappeared behind it, shaking, unstable, but open. The creature fought, but the black ships sacrificed themselves, one by one, to pull it back. The Horizon pushed its engines to the limit. Riker screamed into the comms. "Now, Tali. Fire everything at the gate. Burn it closed." Terran ships joined them. A final wave of force. Blinding light. And the gate snapped shut. Silence. The black hole was gone. The creature sealed again. And Earth was safe. For now. The crew of the Horizon sat in silence. Some cried. Some stared into space. Riker looked at Earth, then at the stars. Tali asked quietly, "Is it over?" Riker shook his head. "No, it sleets. But one day, someone else will open another door." Grays nodded. "Next time, we'll be ready." The signal had stopped. But the stars would never feel safe again. Because humanity had learned the truth. The white star didn't just fall. It was a warning. And we answered it.